This should be.
Yes, there we go. Beautiful.
Thank you. Okay, so I don't know if they can hear, but I'm going to show them so that they can see what we're starting. We're starting with onions. Oops, hi camera. Sorry. Onions and a little bit of oil, and this is to stimulate the gut bacteria with the prebiotic fiber.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, we're going to have the broth, so I'm going to add also onions to that. Let's let it boil. It's just a little stove, so I don't know how much it's gonna last or take to boil, but that's part of it. And then we're going to start with, I don't know if somebody else, we're just gonna wait for other people to arrive. Sure. Right? Yes. But in the meantime, I just want to let you know, guys, where we're going so that you have an idea. This is lemongrass, and we're going to have it today as part of the broth also to benefit the gut. If anybody has issues with gut bacteria or inflammation, or they know that they already have pathogens, lemongrass is one of the main ones that is perfect for that. So lemongrass, we put it in soups or in the stir fries also. So for the stir fries, you have to cut it differently. For soups like this, you can just, take the back of your knife and smash it like so. So when you're smashing this, the essential oil is coming out, and that's what we're looking for. The essential oil of the lemongrass and broth and soups actually benefits the good bacteria. It helps to proliferate bifidobacterium and other bacteria. So once we are ready, let me know so I can start moving the presentation. You are seeing the presentation. Hi everyone. Oh, yeah, I can see that. This is lemongrass. We're gonna put it in the broth in a moment. So these things that you see here in the back are so we have the lemongrass, we have the carrots, we have leeks and cilantro stems, and that's for the starting the broth in a moment. So that's the beginning of the broth. And also we're going to use burdock if I find it. Right here. Anybody knows burdock? No? So let me introduce you to burdock. So that's the root that is actually, I peel it with a carrot peeler. That's why it looks like that. And it's used in Japanese cooking a lot, and Chinese and Asian cooking in general is very well known that has many benefits. And you're going to be reading about burdock in a moment when we start the presentation. Okay, I'm just going to allow more people to arrive and then open up my other lemongrass. If lemongrass is like this one that has some black, and then you can take layers out easily. So make sure that it's kind of like all white when you're going to put it in the pot. But even although this one was from Whole Foods, you can see that it has some yellows. So you don't want to have that. It's just that people, they don't buy it as much. So when it's white like that, that's when you smash it and you can put it in the boiling water. Or the broth, whatever. Smells delicious. Okay, so that's for that. Leaves, and why the stems of the cilantro? You can see that I have my cilantro leaves here, but the stems are more powerful for binding with heavy metals. So heavy metals and detoxification, goes a long way when we use the stems of the cilantro. Most people, they throw them away or they put them on the side. In this case, I actually, chop them tiny, like so. So you can see the stems of the cilantro chopped tiny. And then I add them to the broth with the onions and start making It's literally it's a delicious broth that benefits and has a lot of phytonutrients. With the garbage can. Oh no, I need the garbage can. Sorry. So yeah, that's what it is. So those are prebiotic fibers. This one is a prebiotic fiber also. So it's not like a root that is more starchy. You know, this one is like fibrous. Can you see that? So it's kind of like fibrous in the middle. And we're gonna chop it up, and you can make you know, the slices or rounds, whatever you want to do with that. And also today we have delicious asparagus. Anybody knows why asparagus are so important? What do you guys think?
It cleans your, or helps detoxify your kidneys.
They're very good for kidneys. Yes, very good. But anything in excess is bad. Actually, asparagus in large amounts when there is CKD or chronic kidney disease is not good. You know, it's in a small amount when there's chronic kidney disease. But when the person is, you know, healthy or wants to just detox the kidneys, yeah, asparagus are very good. But asparagus also has a benefit because asparagus are a prebiotic fiber. Again, it's one of those foods that the good bacteria benefits from. So we're gonna start passing this on right now. Okay. Oh yeah, there you go. So please read before we start all over again. Today I'm gonna be making rounds with the burdock. We're gonna cook burdock in there with the onions. She's talking to me, she's telling me that she's starting to cook. I love the new pots. I have one that I can be anywhere in the house and she's like, hello, hello. I'm like, okay, it's ready, it's boiling. That's so good. Sometimes it's annoying though. Yeah, so burdock you can do round, like so, or you can actually, you know, chop it up into pieces, small pieces.
May I ask where you get
So
burdock
once the
root?
oil starts kind of like smelling with the onions, that's an indication to actually put the burdock on it. And this is not, you can do the stews like this too, but this is for the salad actually. So this is the foods that are going to be cooked in the salad, you know, so we're gonna cook them very quickly. Also, we're going to cook our fava bean tofu. So this is the fava bean tofu and it is 64 grams of protein. And for this, actually is needed to be cooked. So we're going to be cooking. I'm gonna pass it around so you guys can see or take pictures if you want. Thank you, Leah. And we're gonna put it in the pot. So you can make squares just like you do with any other tofu. The only difference is that this is soy-free, so it doesn't have any of the pesticides that soy might have, but also it's easier to digest than soybeans. But the main thing for me is also that it has 3-4 times more protein than the regular tofu. So it's fabulous, right? Really good. So we're gonna put it in the pot.
Where do you usually find this?
Very good question. So I get this one in a Sprouts store or in the area where I live, which is Santa Monica. I get it at the Cooperative. Anybody familiar with the call? Yeah. So those are things that are gonna go in the salad, but that they are cooked. Draw some of the onions that are left here. Hello, hi, welcome. Oh. The good thing about the instant pot is that you can actually stop it at any time, like doing it sauté. So I'm doing it sauté right now, kind of. But I can stop it or I can add any water or broth if I want. I just don't want to add any broth because I'm going to put it in the salad. So I'm just cooking it right now. But the good thing about this is that you can cover it and let the steam finish cooking. You know, that kind of. Oh, she's talking, she's saying, don't cover me. She talks to me all the time. So, yeah. So, yeah, so just cover that, I cover it. Yeah. Okay, so that's the first protein. The second protein that we're going to use today for the salad is the beans. So I love this brand only because it comes in glass instead of the can, so it's safer. But also because Jovial they pre-soak the beans, so it's easier for digestion. And that's one of the main things that matters for my clients and for me is to be able to absorb really the minerals and the protein from the beans. So that's why I use this brand. They pre-soak it, then they rinse it, and then they cook it in a pressure cooker. Isn't it beautiful? In a pressure cooker. Yeah, you can take a picture if you want. I'm gonna pass this around so you guys can see it. So this is gonna go into the salad, but I'm going to do it for you. And that's why I don't have to rinse them because they are in glass. Actually, I want to preserve some of that, the juices, not all, because I don't want my salad to have that flavor like too strong. But yeah, it's good that. So I'm mixing the protein because I want more, not only more protein, but also I want the big salad, but I want diversity of colors. So let's start moving this on right now. There you go, so that you can see what happened to me 21 years ago. That picture, my sister took it because we didn't know if I was going to survive or not. I had the cancer and it was so aggressive because the tumor broke when they were in surgery. So it went from one stage to an advanced stage. So the doctor said probably 2 years to 5 years. Here I am 21 years after. Oh, yeah. But my sister is a nurse also, a nurse anesthetist, and that made a big difference in my life because she gave me all the books to learn about, health and start thinking about, okay, what can I do for my own body? What I did for my body and following my nutritionist at the time and my sister and my doctors was actually focusing on my assimilation of nutrients. And that's why I work a lot on that. And my latest studies have been focused on that, on how to help people to absorb really well after the treatments. Because that happens that, unfortunately, a lot of the good bacteria can disappear or can be minimized. And so even although we can take probiotics, we need to feed them well. So that's why the prebiotic fibers are essential, right? So I'm gonna put my asparagus now in the pot because they need to go almost kind of like at the end of the sauteing. So these are part of all the things that they need to be cooked. We don't want always to eat raw if we don't digest well, if we don't absorb well. So that's why it's a quick saute. It's not, that doesn't have to be, okay, I hear you. She's talking. So she's saying that this is almost ready and that I can add a tiny bit more of oil, which I'm going to do. So today we have olive oil and we have olive oil that I love for cooking sometimes, which is the toasted sesame. I like the organic toasted sesame. Not too much. I prefer the olive oil, but I add the small amounts because it really gives such a good flavor to salads. So I add a little bit of that. And I think this is almost done. I'm gonna cover it again and let it be. And that's it, that's the cooking part. So it's easy. And if you guys want to see that part, can you guys see it?
No.
Can they see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the first part of the cooking. Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can see up here.
Oh,
Yeah, you can see it up there. I'm just showing to the camera because they are all there up there on the other side. Yeah. So that's the first part of the cooking for the salad. So we're going to yeah. Don't put the lid. Okay. That's it. I found the point. Yay. Okay. So that's about asparagus and why they are very important. The other part that is good to think of is minerals. So when we want to actually support the system, let's see, I don't know, I cannot pass this. The next one. I'll do that. I cannot. All right, I cannot. No, it doesn't let me. All right, let's go back. So let's start reading about now. Again, something happens. When you have seaweeds like this one, which is wakame, you can use kelp or wakame. They are both really good in minerals, and they are better than, you know how they have the seaweed that they do the sushi with. Okay, that one doesn't have much minerals, so that don't use that one. I mean, if you want, you can, but this one has a lot more minerals and is known for being anti-inflammatory. So we know that when we have not the right bacteria, we can have inflammation. So because inflammation is one of those things that people can feel sometimes in the gut, but they might not be in the gut only. It can be anywhere, right? So that's why we can actually have a chronic disease, and then the doctors figure it out later on. So when we have more minerals, we lower inflammation. So let's go over here and start thinking about what we need for the digestive system to work well. So you can see in the presentation. So we need to assimilate well. And this is what science is telling us, so please read. The gut is the main digestive organ of the human body and absorbs most of nutrients. So that's one of the points that science is making right there. It is also the largest immune and detoxification organ. So if we want to have better immune system, we want to focus on digestive system, right? And the digestive system mainly depends on the gut bacteria that we have, the diversity that we might have. So that's why minerals are essential, because these little guys, they need minerals. So that's one of the main reasons why we do that. Now, the other part of this is when we use seaweeds, they are cooling, right? They are cooling, they come from the bottom of the ocean. So we need warming foods to balance our dish, meaning our plate can be balanced when we have the garlic, the ginger, in this case, this is the ginger, with the seaweeds. So we can actually throw this in the pot for the broth and start making the mineral broth. Okay, so we have the onion, and then when it starts boiling, we're going to put our, I'm making two things at the same time, so don't mind my going back and forth. And I need to put the pot. Okay, so this one, just wanted to have it. My dog at once. Beautiful. Good. So finish cooking there. Now we're going to do the dressing for the salad and talk about the different ingredients. So in minerals, there are things that are very specific, and also when they come, the fibers is what the little guys, the little organisms, they feed from. So we have pea shoots, right? Do you know what pea shoots are? Pea shoots are, let me show you one. So this is a pea plant when it's growing. Oh, sorry, this way. So that's the little shoot, like the microgreen, right, of the peas. And they contain more protein. So when you buy a salad that it says protein greens, it's because it has pea shoots. It has 5 grams of protein. Isn't it great? So it's good that we combine the fiber, the minerals, and the protein all together. So that works really good for the gut bacteria also, and the absorption of nutrients. So let's read this part about what the microbes include, because there's not only bacteria. We have phages, we have viruses, we have worms, and we have fungi. Fungi is one of the main problems that we encounter with people that are sick already, or that they have been not feeling well, or that they have cravings. You know, people that they crave a lot of bread, people that they crave sugar, you know, a lot of fruit sometimes, more than what they need. So that's part of that. So we can counteract the fungi with when we eat greens that are like that they contain phytonutrients, minerals, you know, vitamins, because we focus too much on vitamins and in fiber, but we don't know that color contains phytonutrients. So the phytonutrients come in the different colors. That's why today the salad is very colorful. Starting with our beans, and then we're going to put some of the cabbage. Let's just start my salad here. So we have white cabbage and red cabbage. This is the red cabbage today is Napa. This one is Napa cabbage. It is red. So we're going to have both colors, and we have the peppers. Yeah, you can combine many colors in one salad. Also, I'm going to add peppers to the pot. I have these leftovers of peppers. So good. I just like a little bit of cooked peppers. Put them in the bottom. Any questions so far about the microbiome or the gut? If you have any specific question, you have my email in the bottom. This one right here is my email. If you wanna, you know, email me private questions or tell me about your specific case, you're willing to do that. That's good. I'm willing to answer back to you. So if you read this part about the immune system, the defense system, and how our gut flora communicates with the central nervous system, I want you to pay attention for a moment. And if you have pain, that's the communication that they are talking about now. The microbes actually have a huge communication with our central nervous system, and pain goes, is like a warning system through the central nervous system. So that's why the gut bacteria communicates a lot with the endocrine system, with the neural system, and the immune system. Let's just go forward. So the gut flora is associated with also sleep. So if you don't sleep well, think about that. Memory, anxiety, depression, and the gut flora composition is relatively it depends on how many of the foods you eat in a day. The next day, your gut bacteria is communicating better with your brain and your gut or not. And if you have been under stress the day before, usually it's a day, that it takes a day to have a specific response. Anybody has questions about that? No? If you are online, you can actually put your questions in the chat, and with Leah, we're gonna read them later on. Thank you. Okay, let's continue here. So what is the microbiome for, you know, if you don't know exactly what the microbiome is, so please go ahead and read. It's the unit of microbes that we have throughout the body, not just in the gut. That is a misconception. We have microbes everywhere. I have specific microbes in my eyes, right? Specific microbes in our breast. Actually, breast cancer has shown that people with breast cancer have a different set of microbes or colonies in their breast versus like the person that never had breast cancer, right? Like I have a different totally set of microbes in my lower abdomen than the regular person because I had ovarian cancer. And actually the cancer was like all over for a little bit, right? Until the doctors did their job. So my microbiome in that area was very bad. And my assimilation of nutrients was terrible. I mean, I lost 25 pounds. And that's why, and I recuperated like 20. But that's why I focus a lot in my studies on assimilation of nutrients and gut health. Anyhow, so you can read that. But yes, if you look at the intestines and all the center right here is where they actually have their home. So their main home, the main house is the gut and the oral microbiome. So it comes all the way down from your mouth to your esophagus and also to your liver. The pancreas is also has a specific set of microbes, but the main thing is the gut. They live here and then the colon. So we have fibers that we don't digest well, but they are food for them. One of them is jicama. You know jicama?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have jicama today. So we have our jicama here, and it's gonna go into the salad. And also cucumbers are not in a specific prebiotic fiber, but they have many things that are specific for the microbiome. So we have fluids that throughout the whole body, our saliva specifically, our eyes also is fluid, our lymphatics, they have a fluid, right? So that has a lot to do with how they survive. That all creates an environment. Cucumber happens to give us more fluids, right? Not just in the intestine, but for our skin, for our eyes. So that's why it's very important. Let's move on. So if you think about what a plant does and how a plant survives, the plant also has like a gut. That's the roots. So the roots of a plant, they look like the roots of ourselves, meaning our human roots are the intestines, and the plants, they carry the same thing, microbes and enzymes. Those two things, without microbes and without enzymes, we wouldn't actually assimilate the nutrients. Any questions so far? No? Good? Okay, let's continue. So there it is, the main thing for them, the main thing that they require. It's out my pot here. It's almost boiling. Okay, good. So we're not in a rush, but now I'm going to put the lemongrass in the pot for making our broth, right? So here it is. The smell of lemongrass. Delicious. It's gonna go into the pot, and then I'm gonna put our fibers. Leeks are the other prebiotic fiber. They belong, so shallots, leeks, spring onions, they are all for gut bacteria, to feed them the gut bacteria. So that's our broth, is a microbiome broth. Now, it wouldn't be the same without all the nutrients in mushrooms. So the mushrooms are like the kings of, the microbiome also. Now, there are some people that they might have too much or too many types of yeast. So they have to be careful with, but these guys are usually now extracted in Netherlands, and many studies also in Europe and Germany are doing it. They are extracting, these are the oyster mushrooms. So they extract all the benefits of the oyster mushrooms, and they put them in pills, and they give them to patients with diabetes. And they tried the medication and they tried the extract of the mushrooms. They work the same. So they are really good for blood sugar control.
What type of mushrooms?
These are oyster.
Okay,
They look like oyster mushrooms.
but not all mushrooms are the same.
I'm sorry?
Not all mushrooms are the same.
No, for the study, they use oyster mushrooms. Yes, for the study, they use oyster mushrooms. We're gonna put them also in our salad. So I'm going to cook them lightly. Some of them, they're gonna go in the salad. So they're going to steam. I wouldn't eat them raw, the mushrooms. So, can you guys see this? Okay, good. Beautiful. So these are the oyster mushrooms, and I like the little ones in salads and the big ones in the broth. So we're going to put them in the salad too. So they need to be a little cooked. That's why I love that instant pot, because I can throw things at the last moment also. But yeah, so that everyone can taste the oyster mushrooms. So they're really good for blood sugar control, and they are also, they have components like the interferon. The highest in interferon, everybody knows about interferon?
Iron.
Yes, please.
The mushrooms raw versus cooked. Is there any health benefit to eating them raw? Mushrooms in general, any kind of mushroom.
Yeah, I just mentioned that I wouldn't eat them raw. There are studies that shows actually that mushroom can have some bacteria that we don't digest well. And also, if you look at Dr. Andrew Weil website, he talks about not eating raw mushrooms because of that. He found that too. Yeah. So he was one of my teachers. So yeah. So this is for you guys so that you can see how we put the mushrooms. They're gonna be steaming right there. It looks great. So don't think about salads to be just only raw always, right? We put the raw vegetables, but we want some things to be cooked. Even lightly cooked is perfect. Okay, so we're gonna continue with our salad, and we're gonna throw in the broth also. That me? No, something like that. Okay, yeah, so many stoves. All right, so some of the vegetables are gonna go into the broth. And so you can see that I use a lot of sprouts. These are the sprouts in the presentation. I use mung bean sprouts. It just gets dormant. Okay. Okay. So, okay, please read about the digestive system and what it entitles and what it requires. So you can see what it requires. Hold on, do this here. So it's not just about, okay, I eat and then I go to the bathroom and then I get energy quickly. No, okay. Your whole body has to work. And a lot of energy goes in the middle. It just goes as utilized. So in the broth, I'm going to put a little bit of ginger also. Starts smelling good. And the seaweed is letting all the goodness and the minerals go in there. I'm going to add my leeks and cilantro. So you can call it a soup, but it's really, it's a broth. Because it's not going to have the starches. All right, so we have that part in there. Now, the other mushroom that we can utilize in this case is, it can go in the broth. A lot of Japanese, they use it. Actually, this company is Japanese, it's organic, it's called maitake. And maitake is one of the best mushrooms for vitamin D. Yeah, so I'm going to pass the package around so you guys can see it. It has 60% of your vitamin D required daily. Great. So it is a flower. Look at that beauty. Isn't it cute? So this is maitake, and it has on the label, you can see how many minerals they have and how much in vitamin D. So most mushrooms, they have a little bit of vitamin D, but this is the highest in vitamin D. Now, this is the #1 anti-inflammatory mushroom along with shiitake. So I didn't use shiitake today because that's very well known, but not everybody knows maitake. So, and maitake has been in studies for, actually, I'm going to show you some of them very quickly. We're gonna go back to this, very important information, but I just wanna share about maitake. Oh, there you go. So please read. So it's anti-diabetic. You can see it on the screen. It's used for the cardiovascular disease or prevention. It's anti-tumor, right? It has liver protection also. So it protects the liver and the liver enzymes. So all what you see here, when it says liver protection, and you can see ALT, ASD, SOD, all they are enzymes for the liver. So liver has to be clean after, especially treatments, we need that. But if you read in the top part, it's anti-diabetic. It also works for hypertensive and also for hyperlipidemia. So that means that it has a lot of different components on it, and the lymphocytes actually love the components in this mushroom. So it's good for us. So we're gonna put little petals, or I'm just gonna pass this around, and I don't need it back. So it's a flower, so I like to play with the petals, right? Like petals. So that's the mushroom that you can saute. You can actually put it in broth. And it cooks in 3 minutes. If you just have the pot like this one that is boiling, we're gonna put some of that in the pot.
Someone asked, where do you buy this mushroom?
They have it at Whole Foods sometimes. Not in the package. I've seen that in Whole Foods by itself, like like in pieces. Also the opportunity, and any Japanese stores like, anybody knows Nijiya Market in Sotel? No? But they have some Japanese markets around here too. I just don't know the names. They have them, yeah. And you can buy it dry online. You can dry mushrooms, yeah. There. This one. So mushroom broths are very common in Asian cooking, and there are many reasons for that. Okay, so we have these minerals, you guys understand. Now they have noodles made out of kelp, meaning seaweed noodles. And that's where we're gonna put in our broth today, some of these noodles that are no calories, but high minerals and fiber. Perfect what we need for our microbiome. All right, so here they are. So this is the way they look, and we're going to actually throw them in the pot in a moment, okay? That's the next one. Now for the broth, I need, now we have to let it cool off. Okay. Oh, if anybody, if you guys don't know, this is my book. If you want to see it, you can buy it on Amazon. You can get it in different places, or you can get it here. But it's not only about cancer, it's about lowering inflammation. That's why you call anti-inflammatory nutrition, anti-cancer habits and anti-inflammatory nutrition. But yeah, so in broths, usually we serve them with spring onions, not just for flavor, again, for lowering inflammation. So all kinds of onions are very good for that. Now in the salad, we put the opposite of the heating, and in salads, it's also really good to add the onions. Even though we're gonna have some of the onions, we're gonna put the green onions in it. So we have different flavors, but that's warming, and the red onions are really warming. So we want to balance our yin and our yang with peppermint. And peppermint is very good for the microbiome. So adding peppermint or mint to salads is very good, also balancing. We're going to add that. Anybody eats microgreens or sprouts here? Good. What kind of sprouts do you eat?
Broccoli sprouts.
Yeah, there you go. Today we have broccoli sprouts.
I learned how to make them for myself and my husband.
How did you make it?
I buy the organic little seeds.
Oh,
in a
to
jar.
grow them. You mean
Yeah,
to grow them?
yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. I bought today, actually yesterday, I bought these ones that are really good from Whole Foods. Yeah. So Whole Foods or Sprouts also has them. Yeah.
I like the onion ones because you can taste.
The onion.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, definitely. It's so good for us. But in general, sprouts are highly anti-cancer, especially broccoli. So they are the number one. And the element or the compounds that are in broccoli sprouts are the sulforaphane. Sulforaphane, it also comes in cabbage and in different components like colorful foods like this one. So anybody knows radicchio, right? So we're gonna have radicchio today. Do you know that radicchio actually can cool off the cravings? Yes. Yeah, radicchio, that's my chewy thing in the kitchen. Believe me, I have so many foods all over all the time. So I could gain weight easily, but I don't, because radicchio helps to lose weight, and it is perfect for the microbiome. So radicchio and dyes or escarole, this is the escarole also, they come all from that family that help us to control the gut bacteria. So pathogens, we all have good and bad bacteria. That's why it's called an ecosystem, right? So the ecosystems, they have some guys that can be monopolizing, right? That's what happens with the microbiome. So you saw how many bacteria we have. Let me show you so that you have an idea. So take a look. We have microbes all over the body. Look at the image, please. And each microbial is different species in different areas of the body. It's like the earth, you know, we have different flora and fauna in China versus California, right? Same thing, we have different flora and fauna microbes in our eyes than what we have in our gut. Or the skin microbes are completely different than what we have in our mouth. So that's why the guys that start monopolizing sometimes then that's actually not that good because we need to be like too much fun. Let's see from these signs of dysbiosis or imbalance, which ones you think you have, and you don't have to tell me. Just read and check if you have any of those. You don't have to have them all. You can have just some. So we have so many species that they eat different things and they need different polyphenols, right? And phytonutrients. Different colors carry different phytonutrients. So the more color you eat, the better you feed your gut bacteria and everybody is happy. But if you eat only certain colors and certain fibers, and let's say I love greens, but then greens, yeah, they're really good. They have chlorophyll, they have minerals also, but I need the colors. So I started diversing my diet when I started learning about this, more than 10 years ago. And I realized, oh, okay, now I have less of these signs, meaning that these dysbiosis started going down, 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 down. So you have control of most of these things. If you have unhealthy digestion or acid reflux, or inflammations throughout the body, or I don't know, dull thinking, that might be also a sign of, having an imbalance. All right, so think about that. But when we have the green color and we add, like this is our salad is going right there, colorful, right? Beautiful. Then we need the green color and we need a little yellow that is different. So I'm adding the pea shoots, which are like microgreens of peas. And that's why it's very important that we do have, that we do have diversity of greens, not only the lettuce and always the romaine lettuce. So the more you have the diversity of greens, the better for your gut. Let's go back here. Oh, please read this for a moment, how to learn to feed your gut bacteria and why inflammation is linked to it. Can you guys see that? So we know that we have only 1% human genes. That's what science is very clear about now. Actually, this image is from the science, is from the classes in Harvard. And we know that 99% of our body is more manageable and more controlled through food, through what we eat. So that 99% of our microbial genes that we think that is all human genes, not so much. It's more microbial genes. So they can pass on from our parents, our grandparents, they all pass it on through our mother, through the birth channel. So at the moment when we have we're actually getting born, that's when we receive the first set, the mother delivers the first set of microbes, and that's part of our immune system. What happens if the baby is born through cesarean? Anybody knows? Nowadays it's so beautiful because nowadays the doctors, they know, and then they grab the juices from the mother and they bath the baby, right? Especially if the mother requests that. So young mothers, I have a bunch of them that they have been like, oh, I had to have cesarean. It's like, talk to your doctor and tell them that you want the juices to go right there. So she pushes like she's having the baby, but she's releasing the juices. They grab the juices and then they bath the baby. So it's like the baby was born through the channel. Isn't it beautiful?
So what happens if you don't do that?
That's a good question. Actually, our doctors from before, they have been saying that if they would have known what would happen to the babies, they will actually have done that for long, long time. Because the babies at the first 2 years, they don't show signs of low bacteria. So they have very low bacteria. They still grab the bacteria from the nurse that hold them first, or from the doctor that, is holding their feet, from the father, the kisses of the father and the chest of the mother. And that moment, they get some of the microbes, but are never the same as the ones that the mother are releasing through the vagina. So yeah, I know. So many kids after the 3rd year, they start showing signs of low immunity, and they have more issues in the gut. Yeah, unfortunately. Not all, but like the majority. So the percentage is very big. So that's why we need to actually we can lower inflammation through the food, and also we can help the mother to prepare for pregnancy and for the moment that she's going to release. So a lot of mothers nowadays, they come to us and they say, okay, teach me how to eat better so that my microbes are better for the moment of birth. Yes. And I have a lot of them. So let's go back here for a second and talk about inulin. And I want to talk about the gut microbiota and nutrition. This is a beautiful part. This is a really unique way. You guys can read everything in there. Not quite. So the first sign is telling about how nutrition is an early is very important when the baby is born. And then the second one talks about diet and how it can impact the microbiota within days of changing nutrition or non-nutrition, changing the foods and eating more of the minerals, the fibers, and good proteins. Also probiotics in food. So now we're going to look at the probiotics in food. So probiotics in food, we have today several. So I got the chickpea miso instead of soy miso. And we have the ibus, which is part of our salad. It's like a sauerkraut, but it has a little kick to it. That's why it's called the herbal kraut, because it has herbs. So the usually sauerkraut is made with just cabbage. This one has more than cabbage. It has carrots, it has burdock on it, which is the one that we put in there. So it has burdock, it has horseradish, garlic, thyme, oregano, and nettles. Isn't it great? So it has a lot of different things. We're gonna try this in our salad. Then for the broth, we're going to use the chickpea miso. If you wanna take a picture, so right there, guys on the camera, you can see it. Okay, there you go. So that's the miso. Are people seeing it online? Yes. Okay, good. Just wanna make sure. So this is the picture. But our soup is not there yet. Oh yeah, it's you're not making noise. See, I'm so used to the part that makes noise. So this is ready, almost. Going to add the carrots and the cilantro. And our broth is going to be ready in no time. Okay, so cilantro. Anybody has an allergy to cilantro or anything that I know about cilantro? No? Good, because we're gonna add a lot. So,
How would you know if you're allergic to cilantro? Besides like a natural reaction.
yeah, you will have a reaction. No, very little people have a reaction to cilantro, but some they do. So that's why I need to ask if anybody has a. Okay, so I'm just adding the peppermint to this and cilantro now. Cilantro is one of those binders that the microbiome loves because it has nutrients that the microbes use. So we're going to actually just drop a lot of this in the broth and turn it off. I like making broth. Sometimes I don't add the greens or anything much until the end, or I use the broth for several days. So when I'm heating it up, then I have the mushroom broth ready. So it's an anti-inflammatory broth that I can use for soups, that I can use for many things. Yeah.
Like, how do you like to preserve your broth?
Preserve what?
Your broth, save it like you said, you save.
Oh, I put it in glass containers once it's cool off, and then I put it in the refrigerator. And if I'm not using it within like 5 days, it goes into the freezer.
In the freezer.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's better that way, that we use it that way. So that's why the herbs usually go at the end when the broth is done. Okay, I put the ginger, the garlic, the onions, the salt. Yes, I'm not going to use too much of the salt today because we're going to put miso. So, you know, just in case we want to use only a little bit, but a little bit For a large pot is good. It's so yummy. And I haven't added the oil. You don't need to add oil if you don't want to. You could, but you don't have to. You could also add more mushrooms if you need to, but we have a lot of things. Now, for the salad, I have to use, I don't have to, but I want to use another type of fiber and some sweetness to it. So kabocha squash is my cooked. I already cook it. I put it, as you can see, I haven't even cut it. You know how to cook this without cutting it? No?
No.
So it's very simple. You get a pot with water, almost in the same size that you get your, sometimes I get the small one, sometimes I get this one. So I put the water and I just put the whole, after I wash it, I put it right there. Not like water goes like up to like quarter to a half. And I cover the pot, boil it for 10 minutes, one side, and then turn it around another 5 minutes, kind of like 15 minutes. And it's ready. So now it's easy to cut. Take a look. Isn't it so quick?
And which squash is that for?
Kabocha.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. But, they have a bit.
So it's easy. See, it's cooked. Very simple. No, it's just for me to drink.
Oh, I'll bring you a cup.
Thank you.
Oh, that's good to know because it's intimidating when you see it. in the
I
store,
know.
And it's like, what do you do with that?
And it's so hard when you try to cut it
Yeah.
at the beginning. No,
Yeah,
this is so easy.
hard.
No, this is so simple. You just put it in there 15 minutes. Make sure you turn it around.
So basically, you're boiling it in water, the whole thing, is that right?
Yes, but not cover.
Not covered,
Yes. So it's kind of like a steam boil. It's called the steam boil.
covered.
Covered. 10 minutes, one side, depending on the size of your kabocha. And then you with the, you flip it around and another 5-10 minutes, depending. I saw this morning, I was like, you're ready. So I'm just, and yeah, sure enough, it was. So that's good. Now we can enjoy it as part of the salad. And look how quick and easy to cut. At the beginning, when I started years ago, I remember, like, I cannot cut these things. There has to be a way. So I started like searching, and one Japanese chef came out with the idea. I'm like, I'm gonna copy you. Yes, I love that.
You keep it outside on, I noticed.
Yes,
Okay.
that's where the minerals are. See, the inside of the kabocha has a lot of sweetness and starch, but the minerals are in the outside part. So most foods, they have a lot of nutrients, more nutrients in the outside than the inside. Yeah.
So you eat the outside?
I'm sorry?
You eat the whole thing?
Yep, we're eating it today, yes. We're eating the whole thing. So you just, at this point, it's easier with the fork to grab all the seeds out and start seeding it off before, that way you can actually just, that's it, and then you cut it. Let's continue learning here. So you can see that, that actually the gut bacteria modulates different fats and on inflammatory processes. That means that the gut bacteria can change the effect of different fats when we eat fat. The gut bacteria, there are specific bacteria for every specific type of food. So fats, fibers, starches, there are guys that they do that. That's what they modulate, and they eat it and they produce metabolites, meaning some compounds that, right? So we're gonna learn about those compounds in a moment. So please look at this. This is the compounds that we're talking about. It's called the short-chain fatty acids. That's the most important type of compounds that the gut bacteria produces. And the gut bacteria actually produces some of those compounds to protect your gut barrier. So you can strengthen your gut barrier when your bacteria is producing short-chain fatty acids, specifically butyrate. Butyrate is the number one. So even if I have a leaky gut, right? That's just my case. So 21 years ago, they did the treatments, the surgery was brutal, yada, yada, yada. So I was not absorbing. I was like, okay. I didn't know that I could heal my gut barrier by bringing in bacteria. So that's when this guy show up, the sauerkraut show up. And I started, I might need help with this. Actually, I started ingesting this every single day with, it smells so good. With avocado. So I did a guacamole sauerkraut. That was the inventions that I could do a lot of the times. So avocado sauerkraut is today, even today, nowadays, part of my breakfast, right? So you can have a regular sauerkraut, or you can have this kraut that has a tiny little bit of kick of cayenne, but not that much. It's not that super spicy. And then you can start mixing it with your other vegetables as part of your dressing. So that's not your only dressing, but it's going to be part of the salad.
And where did you get that one?
Whole Foods, yeah, and yeah, where all the krauts are, you know, the sauerkrauts or the fermented foods, that's what they have. Yeah.
Lily, what's the
Yeah.
name of the sauerkraut again?
It's called Pickle Planet is the brand. Pickle Planet has many kinds. I almost get the kimchi, but I thought, no, maybe some people are not gonna go for the kimchi. So it's like a sauerkraut, but it has more carrots and it has burdock and it has nettle leaves, which are difficult to find. And it is one of the highest in diversity. So because why is this higher in diversity of bacteria? Anybody? Because it has many foods, it has diversity of foods, exactly. Yes, yes, yes. So that's why it's that way. So our soup, let's just let it cool off because it's ready. I'm going to drop our noodles. So you can just add them at the end.
What type of noodles?
I showed them before is the kelp noodles. Here. Where? Yeah, right here. Kelp noodles. So they're made out of seaweed. So there's no calories on that, and minerals and fibers, and things that the microbes love. That's why this is a good bacteria broth. They're gonna love this.
And they're all.
The only thing I haven't added is the other bacteria, which is the chickpea miso. We're gonna do that in a moment. And I added enough cilantro, I think, but I'm going to add a little bit more of this kabocha to the salad. Oh, let's go back to this. So if I want to control weight and I want to have a lot of absorption, nutrients, right, and energy, and also lower my cholesterol, that's what short chain fatty acids do. See that? The last one, the last square right here, is telling you that the SCFA, can you see that last one? It tells you right there that it prevents the obesity, it prevents colon cancer, and it lowers the cholesterol also. Great, right? So how do you produce short chain fatty acids? Let's go back. When we eat diversity of colors and fibers, and when we don't eat always the same of the same. That's it, right?
Diversity.
Diversity is the key. So think of an ecosystem. The ecosystem of the earth is very diverse because we have different species, we have humans, we have animals, we have fauna, and even in between us, we have divisions. We have different kinds of people, different kinds of animals. So there are divisions, and that's why we have to have diversity of bacteria. But we don't have diversity of bacteria if we don't need diversity of foods and colors and fibers. Even diversity of vegetables of the ocean. Vegetables of the ocean. Japanese and Asian people that they eat a lot of fish and seaweeds, they carry a different set, very unique set of microbes that other humans like me, that I was born in South America, I don't have. Well, maybe now because I eat a lot of these, but I was not born with that. And also people that are like in the Alaska area, they have a completely different set of microbes because they eat those foods. Get it? So the more you eat diversity, the more powerful you are, guys. So there you go. All right, so now you got it, I think. All right, so this is the last part. So some probiotic in food increase gut short-chain fatty acid levels when fiber is present. Hence, when we eat the sauerkraut, it has a lot of fiber. Fiber is present and microbes are present in there. So we can increase the short-chain fatty acids. Remember why short-chain fatty acids, what they do? They decrease cholesterol.
Low fat or sugar.
They help us to not have, or they prevent cancer, colon cancer. They also, they also are related to good cognition, brain power, and not having depression, right? So there's many things that short-chain fatty acids are very well known. But one of the divisions of bacteria that is well known to do this is bifidobacteria. So bifidobacteria, look at the screen, please. Bifidobacteria are like digestive heroes. You want better digestion? You need to have more bifidobacterium. Got it?
Can you make it bigger?
I can't.
Oh, no,
Sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know if it's from your end. Can you make it bigger?
That's the biggest I can make.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the biggest that she can make.
Okay.
But if you want some of these handouts, I can send it to you. Oh, by the way, yeah, you're gonna get the recipe. If you sign up in the sheet, you guys sign up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who has the sheet? Oh, yeah, it's back there. Can I have that so that I remember? And also, you can see in the bottom of the presentation my email. Yes. I'll show it to you later. You can email me with questions or, where to buy this, how do I do this, or this is my case, whatever is your case. Everybody's different. So
This is a totally vegan meal too, isn't it?
it's vegan. Today is vegan. Doesn't have to be vegan if you
Yeah.
like animal. You can, but I chose vegan because it's easier and less risk on cooking also.
Yeah.
And because it's more plant-based. I really enjoy plant-based.
Right.
But I'm not only plant-based all the time. I cook for other people that they need to have animals sometimes. There are people that are very weak that they need animals, and we have to recognize that, So yeah. But today we're talking about the bacteria. So anyhow, so bifidobacteria influence the immune system. That's what the bifidobacterium, which is it's like a specific type of colony. It's not only one. There are many bifidos. So you're going to see some of the list in a moment. So there are many bifidos. Oh, thank you so much. But there are different ones. They do different things, and some are specific to abdominal pain or bloating or slow transit time. So that's why we need bifidobacterium. And they also provide a lot of the helping to breaking down the starches, like the jicama, like things like that we don't break down. They eat them and then they proliferate. So we want bifidobacterium, right? We don't want too much yeast, although we need some yeast. Some of the good ones, not the bad ones. So So go ahead and read the different bifidos. There is Bifidobacterium brave, or Bifidobacterium bifidum, Bifidobacterium longum, Bifidobacterium infantis, which is from our infant days, and then we still are supposed to have it. And lactis, which reduces gastrointestinal discomfort. So each one, they do many things, and the list has gone on and on and on and on. There are different kinds. And it's good for us to know that this is the way it happens. Look at the chart. We start with 95% when we are toddlers, when we are babies, and we end up with 25%. No wonder we get sick throughout life, right?
Yeah.
So science is pointing out that we need to eat to build bifidobacterium if we want to be healthier in our elder years. And when we look at the tests that they have done, and they are giving a lot of bifidobacteriums with the foods to elderly, they recharge. That's good, right? So they have more energy. And so that's why we want to know what species do what, right? That they're learning that. That's what science is on right now. And that's the beauty of that. And when we think about bifidobacterium, what else can we grow? So consume more fermented foods. They actually help to grow some bifidobacterium, and that's also present in yogurt. We can do many things like adding fermented vegetables to salads, or we can add yogurt also, right? So they're different, yes.
You know, there's such a big marketing, like consumer marketing, prebiotic,
Oh, yeah,
probiotic,
I know.
and drinks and little cups and,
So
what
much.
do you think about that?
That's a good question. I actually prefer the making my own guys growing in my kitchen. So I do a lot of my own fermentation, but I test and I try different yogurts every month or every 2 weeks. I change. That's why I know so many brands and I know so many flavors, because I decided, and talking with my sister, that now she learned also. She was in Hong Kong, or no, in Vietnam, and she got back with the bacteria, like really bad bacteria. So I helped her for a while. Go figure. Me helping the nurse, but my mom was laughing. My mom was like, huh, okay. But I realized that she was not eating a lot of diversity also, because her husband likes the same and the same and the same. So they go to the same restaurants anyhow. So I said, let's just try different fermented vegetables for a while, and then add this specific one that is for diarrhea. So it was a very specific one for Clostridium difficile. I don't know if you know what Clostridium difficile is. She got back with that from Vietnam. And so she started having that one every week, but then we actually changed. Let's take that one off and then let's do this other one. Well, she got really well with broccoli sprouts and different fermented foods in 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Go figure. Of course, that she's a nurse too, so she was very thrilled to do that, like very organized.
Yeah,
But no, because we search, and the doctor, she works with doctors all the time, right? So she, and the clinic and the hospital where she's working, the doctor was very clear and said, I can give you antibiotics, but they work only for a certain amount of time for that. And you can take the risk of actually losing the good bacteria that you have. So we look at the percentage of losing bacteria with the C. diff. It would be other type of infection, she would have gone for the antibiotics, but she decided not to. It was 3 weeks and started, recuperating. I think it took her like total maybe 5 to 7 weeks, for what I remember. But she stopped the diarrhea and she stopped being sick within 3 weeks. So there are many things that you can do with probiotics and with different fermented foods. Let's look at, and so that's why prebiotics. One thing is probiotic and the other one is prebiotic. You know the difference?
Prebiotic beats probiotics.
Right. Probiotic is the bacteria, the different types of bacteria. And prebiotic is the food for the bacteria. Think about prebiotic as fibers, but fibers that come with colors and phytonutrients, right? So this salad, the way it's going, but it's still missing so many vegetables. So we're going to add our cucumbers. So did you know that we have cucumber that is white, kind of like this color? No green. This is the green cucumber, but the other one is completely white, even the skin. And it's delicious. I love them. So we're gonna add both colors, see, different colors. And then we have today different colors in carrots. We have the purple carrot. We also have the purple cabbage and jicama. So this is a diversity of colors for diversity of bacteria. And of course, that in your house, you might be thinking, she's crazy. How can I do that salad? Right? She's crazy. Well, I know, we all go to that. But then this is the point. You can divide this salad into 2 different salads. I give you the list of ingredients and you do whatever you want with it, right? I sometimes when there are large families, they do the whole thing. And then what they do is they divide the ingredients in different containers. And they put it in the refrigerator and everybody makes their own salad. But if you are like just 1 or 2 people,
Yes.
you want to divide the list of my recipe that you're going to get, you want to divide it into like maybe 2. Okay, today I'm going to be making half of the salad and then another day I'll do the other half. But it's not going to go to waste, because if you buy all different vegetables and then you do broth and salad, you can utilize half, or soup and salad, then you can utilize half of half. The other point is I give my clients, when I'm making them their meal plan, right? So the list of ingredients goes to make stir fry, salad, soup that utilizes everything. So you don't waste food. That's the beauty of this. That once you know what you're doing and why you're doing it, you can divide it and repurpose your vegetables, repurpose your food. Are you guys with me? Any questions on that? Yes.
Someone asked, for people that have the gene that makes the cilantro taste like soap.
Yep.
What are the alternatives that they can use for the broth?
For the broth, parsley or dill.
Or syrup?
Dill is more potent in phytonutrients. Parsley is really good, but parsley has something that is called oxalic acid. And oxalic acid actually, then I throw something here. So oxalic acid is an anti-nutrient. So too much oxalic acid, I wouldn't do a whole pot with oxalic acid. Let's put it that way. Maybe if I use or I eat parsley in small amounts, that's fine. But for a big pot, no, I will use dill. Yeah. So you know about oxalic acid, anybody? No? Maybe I should mention that. You guys want me to talk about it?
Yes.
Okay. So oxalic acid is an acid that is very specific to inhibit minerals, the absorption of minerals. So it's not good when we're trying to mineralize our cells and give minerals to our bacteria to have tons of oxalic acid. Oxalic acid comes in small amounts in different vegetables. The highest in oxalic acid is spinach, parsley, chard. So, and chocolate, I'm sorry. Yeah, so chocolate too, but which I love. I know, right?
Yeah.
But if you do eat the, say that again?
I just said, finally, you mentioned chocolate.
I know, but
Is it better if it's dark chocolate or milk chocolate or?
no, the dark chocolate is good too, but it has this in any chocolate. So if you have sweet chocolate, and I don't like to say this, you have less oxalic acid than when you have dark chocolate, because dark chocolate is very pure, so it has more oxalic acid than the other one. Yeah. But don't stop eating the dark chocolate.
Oh, I won't.
It's really good for us. So
But
anyhow,
you said oxalic acid inhibits,
inhibits the
so
absorption.
that's not good. The
Right.
spinach is not good for you.
Well, no, I didn't say the spinach is not good. I said that the spinach is the highest in oxalic acid. But there are ways to manage the spinach so that you don't need as much oxalic acid. So it's I'm sorry guys, I'm throwing myself out of the topic here a little bit, but it's because if in nutritional cooking, we are, especially in Chinese nutritional therapy, we are taught that if we boil the spinach, it's going to release more of the oxalic acid than if I eat it raw. So if I put it in the pot and I'm going to drink or take this soup, then I'm going to have a lot of oxalic acid in there because it's released with the heat and with the water. But if I actually don't boil the spinach and eat it like this, raw, I'm going to eat the whole oxalic acid myself. So it's better to boil it and throw away the water. And that's one way to release.
How about if you stir fry it though?
You're gonna eat it?
You're gonna eat it, so that's not good.
No.
And this, I heard something, I'm not sure if it's true, but if you add, what if you do like
Hold on, I'm looking
squeeze
at-
lemon on your spinach salad? Does that release any
Lemon?
of the,
No,
no?
no. You're gonna have it. Actually, it's making it release in the salad. So that's not that great, yes. So we're gonna start with the dressing. I'm putting olive oil. And I just put before you guys arrive the Dijon mustard. Okay, so that you know that's for creaminess. I'm adding a little bit of turmeric too. You know, turmeric is highly anti-inflammatory. So I added to dressings as well and soups and other things. Pepper, anybody allergic to pepper? Can I use pepper? Okay. So we need a little bit of black pepper in there. I add sometimes chili flakes to my dressings. I put it a little bit in there, and I'm going to add coconut aminos. Anybody related to coconut aminos? I use the one that is less sodium, so that's better, 72% less sodium. So it's good for our heart. And that gives a tiny bit of sweetness and saltiness at the same time. And my vinegar today is rice vinegar, organic rice vinegar. So we want to add a good amount of vinegar because we have a lot of raw. So we need that to start the digestion, right? And because it tastes good also. And I haven't added the cooked vegetables. So it's gonna be like a super salad. Yeah, it's about like quarter of a cup minimum. But we're gonna taste the waters in a moment and see what happens. Salt, I'm adding a little bit of salt to the dressing also. Although we're gonna check and see what happens with that. I try not to overdo the salt. And finally, you can add water or you can add more oil if you want to this, but it wouldn't be the same without lemon. So we want to have lemon in there. Soft lemons are better than the, where are my knives? Oh yeah. Right here. So let's continue learning for a second. Please read this, it's very, very important. Feed your gut, your good bacteria well. And this is one of the studies from actually the Harvard doctors that they did this. They know in their studies that the bacteria can change with food. And these studies have been there for a while. So now they, every year, every 6 months actually, they do have more studies on which foods do what, right? So now that's why we can say actually that bifidobacteria needs certain things. One of the main things that they found is pesticides. So pesticides in food diminishes diversity of bacteria. So it's hard, but you can get a lot of good foods that are not 100% organic or too expensive at farmers markets also. You know, smaller farmers, they don't have the heavy pesticides if you want to create more healthy bacteria. So more lemon, more vinegar to break down the nutrients, remember. Sour flavor. Bitter flavor is the other one that is very good for breaking down. So there are many studies also showing that inulin lowers appetite when we have too much, not too much, when we have a lot of like jicama, like asparagus, we get full, right, faster, and then our appetite diminishes a little bit. So if you are trying to gain weight, it might not be the best to eat too much of that, but if you don't have appetite, go the opposite, right? So please read about the prebiotics. Good, okay. So it can stimulate the growth of beneficial bacteria like the bifidobacterium that we were talking about and lactobacillus. It suppresses the bad bacteria. Pathogenic bacteria, we all have them, but again, if we eat the same or too much of the sugars or the processed foods, we will have more pathogens than good bacteria. Burdock, right there, dandelions. You know, those are the foods that you want to think about. Anybody eats chicory root here? No, you don't know? It's kind of like a coffee replacement. You know, it's like a coffee replacement. It tastes like coffee almost. It's delicious. But anyhow, so I'm going to start adding, look at this beauty, guys. So these are the cooked vegetables. We're going to add them to the salad right now to have our protein. And there you are. You have in a cook and raw salad. And there, the asparagus, our prebiotics are going right there. The onions, the asparagus, the burdock, those are all prebiotic fibers that are in our salad. So besides the dressing, I'm having the flavor of the cooked onions in here, right? And the oils. And anybody's hungry? Yeah. Okay. we're gonna serve pretty soon. We're gonna need some help here. Let's continue here for a second. Oh, this is very important. Please read if you can, or maybe you can read it out loud because I don't think they can read. This is about burdock. And pay attention to what they say. This is the latest. This is in 2025, one of the studies in 2025.
Water soluble dietary fibers such as inulin improves the biodiversity of the intestinal microbiota of mice fed with a high fat diet. The circadian clock is the system that regulates the internal daily rhythm, and it affects the pattern of biodiversity in mouse intestinal microbiota. Burdock root contains a high concentration of inulin/fructan, approximately 50%, and it is a very popular vegetable in Japan. Burdock also contains functional substances that may affect intestinal microbiota, such as polyphenols. We examined the effects of intake timing, breakfast or dinner, of burdock on intestinal microbiota. The intake of burdock root in the evening had a stronger effect on microbiota diversity in comparison to morning intake. Therefore, it is suggested that habitual consumption of burdock root in the evening may aid the maintenance of healthy intestinal microbiota.
Huh. Funny, huh? When we eat certain things, makes difference for the bacteria. That's very interesting. Well, not that it's unknown. There are a group of doctors, actually scientists, that from USC that they have a study for more than 10 years on the circadian rhythms and how the same food that when we eat it in the morning affects or gets better absorbed. But we thought it was only because of the enzymes or because we are breaking the fast. But now these ones in Japan, they are telling us no. When people eat burdock in the evening, the whole night, those guys are eating and they have energy to proliferate. So the same thing with the sugars. When we eat sugar at nighttime, see, I'm getting dry throat. I talk so much, right? When we eat certain sugars or fruit after class, we're gonna start soon if you want to help us. Okay. So when we have sugars, like too much fruit after like 7 p.m., we help the yeast to proliferate and we gain more weight. And that's the reason. Yeast is, if you think about what does yeast do in bread?
It rises, it expands.
Yep. Same thing it does in us. So whatever the bacteria does outside or the food does outside, will do it inside us too. So that's why they decided, okay, let's try to have the circadian rhythm when we need to eat the most. In the mornings, to have energy the whole day, and at noontime. And then in the evenings, not so much because we're going to bed. So if we want to lose weight or we want to be healthier, we want to eat a light dinner. That's why they say that. Anyhow, so we're going to put our dressing in here. I'm going to give it a taste, a quick taste, but I think I need a little bit more salt. And then we're going to serve. Do you want to try the broth first to settle the stomach? Anybody?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go for the broth. Let me taste it. Oh, let me have one. You guys want to hold me to serve? I'm adding the miso. Sorry, I didn't add the miso. So let's continue reading for a second here. Oh, this is about inflammation. Please read about inflammation. Second. Cold. Okay. Yeah, they can a little bit of more time. I think the salad is more ready. So let's start with the salad. Anyhow, any questions about the bacteria and how inflammation is linked to pathogenic bacteria? Oh, yeah. Sorry, what, where?
I haven't seen the forks.
No. All right, so here's the dressing.
How much time do you wait, before you serve the, like, the cilantro typically in the broth?
And the broth is at the end when I turn off the pot.
Okay. So like
Yeah. So
10, 15 minutes before serving.
yeah,
Okay.
as long as it's warm, yeah. So the onion cilantro broths are very specific for certain type of bacteria. Yeah. Look at that beauty. I don't know if you guys can see. Are you showing this to them?
Yeah.
I don't know if they can see it, but this is a beautiful, colorful salad that is ready to be served. So I'm going to put it in your hands and you guys can serve. Let me show you, so that you guys can see the baby. There you go, guys. There you go. All right, so we're going to torture this, and I need to move this out of here. Can you guys help me?
Yeah, what do you need?
And this is going to be served here while I work on the other part and talk to you guys. So let me show you, that's for the broth. This is for the broth. Yes.
Where do you want these three?
Plates. Doesn't have to be small plates, could be, but most. Maybe inside. I'm just gonna put a sample here serving. Here. Or we have these larger plates. Yeah, that's, yeah. Looking to the face, but I'm gonna let you guys do this while I can. I'm gonna continue. Can you guys do the service?
Yeah.
No. Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you guys can. Okay, and then we're just gonna put them on these small plates. Or do you want the larger? That's fine, either one, whatever you think. Okay. We're comfortable here. All right, you want to serve it up? So we're gonna continue here. For a second. We are not what we eat. We are what we assimilate. Chew well, please. Make sure that you chew well, slowly, and smell it. How is it? Yeah, it's good? Perfect, good. Yeah, good. So, the other proteins that we're going to do are used. Again, you can do this with yogurt as well. Even although you have the fermented vegetables, you can add yogurt to it. Yeah. Can I? I'm just gonna give you a sample. I'm gonna taste it. If you do good control. One more. And this one down. I'm gonna taste this and see if it has enough of the chickpea miso. It's missing salt. But it's perfect for the stomach. One of those broths that is simple and it's delicious at the same time. I think that I didn't install the miso yet. You know, but just kind of put it over the plate or something. Or that would.
Restaurant.
Where's the
hours.
mesa?
Okay. Can we come back tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I was saying. I've seen the-
You like it? So. And then I can continue with the presentation. So yeah, so our gut bacteria produces thousands of enzymes that we need for digesting what you are eating, kind of like either a salad or a soup. Of course, that what is the easiest dish to digest? Soup.
Yeah.
Soup. That's why we're making the broth today, to show you how to make quick broth or utilizing the same things that you utilize, except the fresh greens, right? You can utilize them in soups. And even in the broth, I can put the escarole at the end. So you don't have to cook it. It's just like, steam right there. The other one that we use a lot is this type of frise kind of, or the freeze type of lettuces, which are really good in stir fries also. So don't think that you cannot use things like this in stir fries or it's only for soups. No, you can utilize them in many, many other things. Okay, this one here.
So what do you recommend for, like after treatment, either chemotherapy or immunotherapy?
It all depends on the person's state. When they finish treatments, most people are missing bacteria for sure, but some are stronger than others because we all have different types of bacteria that we host. So some might actually be having candida or yeast infections, or like the white tongue or low energy. That means that they need to bring in a lot more good bacteria, not just in the probiotic pills, but more in the fermented foods and also, maybe at the same time a probiotic pill, right? But creating bifidobacterium, you know how we talk about bifidos? That's the first thing that I do with the patient after treatment.
Like doing this, like you said, the soups and doing the salad like this would be the ideal.
Well, it not, maybe depending on how I see that they are digesting, maybe not salads at the beginning, but cooked salads or warm salads. Like I make a lot of people, they are like with constipation, after treatments, a lot of them, or even in between the treatments, they have constipation. So we give them different soups that are for constipation, and also then I start giving them the probiotics. But the salad might actually tie things up even more because it's raw food. Well, cooked food soften things.
Yeah.
Yeah, for constipation. Yeah, it makes sense. It's just that we don't think about that. But yeah. So anyhow, there are many different things. Yeah, you have a question?
No, this just is so lovely. She's so healing and made so much love. And I just want to thank you for being here.
Oh,
Thank you. Really, really thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's very healing. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for saying that. It makes my day because of course, that I love cooking. That's part of my profession as well, besides nutrition and, supporting the patients with the consultations. But cooking and teaching them to cook is my forte, my love. Because I did this for myself, little by little.
And we can feel it. We're blessed by it. So thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you. And anything that you guys have in questions, you can also reach out to me, or you can, call, or, in the future, maybe we can do sessions or something. We've been thinking about it. But for now, I offer a free consultation. If you feel like, talking to me privately or you have questions, you can always check my email. It's right here on my website. And or you can text me. My information is later on there. But everybody has a unique microbiome, and that's why we need to be like more diligent. It's not like a cookie cutter kind of diet or anything. No, it's very specific to the person. That's why I need to know where they are, and I do tests also or request and talk to sometimes the doctors and see if they agree with things or not, or they want to learn. Some doctors, they're like, oh, I never thought of sending them for the microbiome test. So yeah, so I do that. But it all depends on the person. It's very specific to the person. But for the most part, these are the foods. You can see the list right there. The cruciferous vegetables that we included today, like the broccoli sprouts, like the different cabbages, the different types of lettuces, and even herbs, like the one of the herbs that I didn't bring, but I grow in my farm because I do community farming too. So is a lot of basil and lemon balm. So I have tons of lemon balm right now growing in the farm, and it grows by the season, but it also, I'm sorry, it grows the whole year, but also it is very healing for the microbiome and for the brain. So that's why I do a lot of herbs and salads as well. But as far as you try today, there are mushrooms also. We're gonna try the broth. Did you guys start serving the broth? Not yet? Okay, let me just do this very quickly. Sorry, I'm working on how to do this. Okay. Because I can see that my miso is starting to lose up in there. So it's gonna give it more flavor. And the mushrooms are ready, so we're gonna serve some. So for example of the serving, is gonna go with some noodles, some broth, some seaweed, and a little bit of the mushrooms in there. So this is kind of like a serving size. This is the sample for serving. Okay, so here. Somebody else is gonna If you have any questions specific about the ingredients that we used today, you can always email me. If you want to try this.
You do your
This size, kind of size. Yeah.
Lily, where do you do your microbiome culture?
Different places. I don't work with any specific lab, but yeah, no, I know that most insurance, they don't cover it, not yet, but I send the patients to different, places that work with universities. So yeah, it's very good. I do my own test every 6 months to see where I am. And I'm like, I saw it growing and being very diverse. So I'm happy with that. Yeah. But you can do it in many ways. Yeah. Anybody eats whole grains in here? Whole grains. Okay, good. So if you eat whole grains, if you want to have a better gut or create a more diverse microbiome, you want to eat less corn and less gluten. Not gluten-free 100%, but there are some grains that are better than others when you are talking about the microbiome, especially healing after treatments. You want to increase more of rye. Is good, rye, 100% rye. Wheat is not that great, unfortunately, but so no, maybe not corn, not wheat, more rye and millet. Millet is very good. Buckwheat, and something that I brought today to show you is hemp seeds. So hemp seeds are something else, and flaxseed and chia seeds that are very good for the microbiome because they carry the different amino acids and the different fats, healthy fatty acids that we need. Okay, so that's mainly to focus on that.
It's flaxseed.
Yeah, flaxseed. Yeah, I mentioned it. Yeah, really good. Today we have this as a part of the protein is the fava bean tofu. I'm just showing them so that I hope that they can see that. Yeah, I guess they can. And so these ones are different types of probiotics, proteins that we use to increase the probiotics also. They need the beans. If there is anything good for the microbiome, is beans. Instead of too much grains, increase the beans.
Is there any beans that you recommend over some people have a hard time? Would you recommend the kidney beans more?
Well, no, it all depends on the person. There are people that they do really well with the small beans or the sprouted beans versus the larger beans. But this one is because I was talking about color and because kidney beans are really good for the essence of the kidneys. In Chinese nutritional therapies, we use a lot of the beans according to the organs. Yes. It's like there are specific foods for specific microbes. There are specific foods for different organs. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes. So now that we understand more Chinese, Clara, please read this about the diet and fungi, so that you understand the difference between the foods that you eat and how you can preserve a balance in your microbiome. So we know that fungi is not that good, right? I mean, the good ones, yes, we have a few good ones, but we have more than 300 that are overgrown and that they monopolize the gut. So because of that, we want to have a diet that is less carbohydrate or eat low carbs. And when we talk about carbohydrate, guys, I have to tell you, carbohydrates are not just the starches. A fruit is a carbohydrate, right? The fiber is part of the kingdom of carbohydrates. So it's about which carbohydrate to increase and which one to go down, okay, in the diet, if you want to have a better, more balanced microbiome. So that's about the diet and supplementation, so that you can starve the bad guys without throwing a bunch of antibiotics or without starving yourself. You just eat what the fungi doesn't eat, or eat it minimum. And that's part of the program when I'm teaching is that's what I do. So yeah, there are many similarities between fungi and cancer. And that's one thing that we were surprised, but this is from science also. And one of them is that they each can metabolize nutrients in the absence of oxygen. Cancer and fungi too. And the other one is that it thrives in the presence of sugars. So if we lower the sugars, we can actually lower the fungi, and we can also actually prevent other cancers, right? So that's something to keep in mind. And you know that dogs can smell some cancers, right? They also smell when the person has too much fungi. Isn't that funny? Yeah, that's what they're telling us here. So yeah, some animals can actually prevent that.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. So diet is the number one factor.
She was saying maybe the dogs could tell us.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So the environment that we live in and that we create, it has a lot to do with what populations of microbes will grow, but also the number one factor is diet. So that's why they're putting so much emphasis in food for healthy microbiome and healthy digestion. So we know that food changes everything, right? So let me see if you got the idea of today's lecture. What is the main thing that you can do to change or to improve your microbiome?
Diversity.
Diversity of,
The
colors. More colors in your challenge.
very good. And eat diversity of fibers, right? Diversity of foods. So fiber is not just the greens. You know, fiber also can be a kabocha, right? Or a meat, pumpkin, kind of like that. But fiber also comes in seaweeds, right? So there's so many kinds of fibers to think about, diversity, but food definitely changes everything. So yeah, so nutritional foods, again, there's one or two that we didn't talk about much. One of them is watercress. Watercress is very important for healthy microbiome. How is the food, guys? Did you like the soup?
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm glad that you like the soup.
Ginger in the soup. Did you put ginger in? You didn't mention it.
No.
Was there ginger in the soup?
I mentioned it. I said.
Oh,
I
you
put
did?
Yes, yeah, this was my ginger. I went there and I put it.
Yeah, I
Yes.
tasted it. That's right.
Yeah, good.
Thank
So you taste it. It's not a soup. You see, it's a broth.
Yeah.
But you can eat the things, and the lemongrass makes a difference in there too. Besides releasing the essential oils and making the microbiome happier, right? More balanced. If you think about countries like in the Asian, like Thailand, you know, where it rains a lot and the rainforest, there's a lot of fungi growing and a lot of mold, right? So, and the studies, they show that people in the elderlies, they knew that if they use lemongrass more often, they don't get the fungi or the molds as much as when they stop having the lemongrass. Now, science went ahead and they studied lemongrass deeply, And now there are many studies showing that lemongrass can inhibit not only fungi, but certain type of cancers.
Can do what?
Inhibit. Yeah, I'm sorry, my accent is so
Oh,
strong.
that's.
But if you don't understand something, ask me. That's why I don't get upset. So it is good that we eat more lemongrass, especially if we think that we don't have enough good bacteria or that we have more fungi than other things, right? So in order to prevent cancer, also they are saying that we can utilize the essential oils of some of these plants, but I wouldn't go to buy it and eat it or without a practitioner consent, but because it's very, very strong. But in general, eating the food is safer.
So the lemongrass that you put in the broth,
Yes.
you cut it and then are we eating it or is it
No,
just the?
I think it's
the
there.
sauce, like,
I
it's
think
just
they
the
didn't
sauce.
serve it
Yeah.
because, or they did serve it. Maybe some of you ate it. I don't know.
No,
it's-
Oh, there you go. Then the pieces are right there. Exactly. You cannot eat that unless you chop it tiny, but then mince it kind of. But you need to take a lot of the layers because some of the soft layers, they don't break easily. Yes, ma'am.
What
So
about
don't
this
use
green part that releases?
Yes. You're asking me about the leaves.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the leaves are good for tea, but the leaves don't carry the essential oil as much. So you saw that, here is one part. So the essential oil is in the inside of the stalk. Yeah, exactly. Not so much the leaves. So if I actually break this down, right, that's part of also the leaves kind of in there. So the leaves are very thin and they don't have much of the essential oil, but they are good. They're good for tea. Yeah.
If you eat them, does it just go through? or-
It goes, it all depends how much you chew them. But remember, some fibers that we don't digest in the colon, the gut bacteria break them down if we chew them well. Anyhow, we're almost done. These are some of the fermented vegetables or some fermented foods that they eat in different countries. Like in Japan, they use a lot of the miso, the soybeans. In the US, we use a lot of the yogurts. Nowadays, we have plant-based yogurts. So I'm using a lot, yes.
Do we cook the lemongrass? Is it better cooked or raw?
Maybe they didn't see it. I cook it in the soup.
Okay.
Yes, it's always cooked. Yes. And if you eat it raw, it's gonna be very, very hard to digest. Anyhow, cilantro, very quickly. Please read about cilantro. You will see that it will reduce bad cholesterol when you eat it. It controls blood sugar also. And it's very helpful for protecting the cells against damage. That's the reason why we are using a lot of the cilantro in different recipes nowadays. And again, other foods might have it. The coriander powder, meaning the seeds powder, very antioxidant, highly antioxidant. It protects the cells. So more coriander if you want in the soups also. But the main thing that we know, science is pointing to, is that cilantro binds with heavy metals. So that's very important for us. So thinking about things that doesn't help in the body, one of them is overeating. Or overeating will feed more the parasites and fungi, especially overeating at nighttime. Anybody gets up like at 10 p.m. and go into the refrigerator? That's the fungi saying, feed me tonight because I'm going to eat more. And then tomorrow I'll be bigger, right? So I'm going to let you just remember that food combinations matter to different people. Not the same type of combinations work for all the type of guts, right? So since people that are like recently in surgeries, they cannot mix too many things in one, in one meal. People that they have better diversity of bacteria, they have better soldiers, so they can break down almost anything, right? So food combines matters, but the safest is in the stews or in the stir fries or in soups. In raw, that's why today I explained that it's good if you have good bacteria. So this is the point about glycogen or glyconutrients that is a complete spectrum and plant-based. That's why plant-based is very good because we have more of the spectrum plant-based on whole grains, beans, mushrooms, seeds, nuts. So that's why it's very important. We saw about all this one, we already talked about it. This one we talk about it. Chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is very important and juicing. So this is, I want to just take a moment here. Who juices in here? What do you do with the fiber?
Throw it away. Compost it.
At least compost it.
Yeah.
Somehow the microbes end up using it,
Yeah.
but you're missing out. That's the point. So when you're juicing, I'm not saying not juicing. Juicing is very good because it has a lot of enzymes. I'm saying it's better to take some of that fiber and put it back in the juice, you know, some of it. The other thing that I do often is I make bread out of the fiber from juicing. So I make a lot of homemade bread, like artisan breads. I do a lot of pizza dough with that, you know, without using any grains. I use a lot of that. Same thing with the garbanzos. I take all the garbanzo skins and I make it into a dough. So it's really good, but when you're juicing, you're missing out because the smoothies are packed with insoluble fiber that feeds the microbes. So that's why I put some of that insoluble fiber in there. So soups are more for simmering, like what you saw with the broth. It's and those foods are very important for us to have more absorption of nutrients. So that type of soups is more like a whole meal, right? It's like a one pot meal. That's what we're talking about when we say this type of soups. But yeah, so homemade soups are better, less salt than the other type of soups. Let me just go back here. So when you are making this is probably one of the goals that I think that most of my clients go for is finding balance. They don't know what balance means in most cases. And that's because they are feeling uncomfortable or they're having some type of issue. So we're trying to help them to find balance when there is nothing. Isn't it beautiful when we don't feel weird or we don't feel nothing? We just are and we are healthy. That's the beginning of finding balance. So that's one of the purposes, having a healthy ecosystem to have. So here are some eating guidelines. So please, you can take pictures if you want of that so that you remember when you eat when you are hungry. Don't eat if you're not hungry. That means that you have more good bacteria or that you have plenty of the bacteria for actually digesting better. And eat what helps your body and microbiome. We know what my specific body doesn't like. And sometimes even looking at some food, I feel attracted. That's because they are reading what is that and I might need that, right? So if you feel like you need that, then eat it. So mastering healthy habits. Anybody is trying to get rid of a bad habit, eating habit I'm talking about? We all do, I think. That's the beauty of it. So here's my book, guys. If you want, you can copy or order a copy on Amazon or anywhere else. I have some copies here. But take with you this. What's the most important thing that you should do to remain healthy or to be healthier? So please read that. What is the most important thing that you think you need to improve in your habits in order to be healthier? If you take that, that's how I coach my clients. Little by little, they find, oh, I need to do this. So let's work on this. So if you work with yourself in something and you actually today, you start taking action. And by being here, thank you so much, guys, for being here. And thank you so much for people that are online. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because that actually makes you taking action, right? This is something that you are doing just to improve your digestion. It's very, very important. And your if you have any issues with sugar, watch out. Just observe yourself and be aware of that because sugar is one of the not healthy friends of fruits. Not that we don't eat it, and eating fruits and things like that, that's what I'm going for. I try to always have something in my kitchen. Here's a tip for you. If you have cravings, I have two main helpers. One is this guy that takes away the cravings. Right?
How much you have to eat?
Bitter. Oh, I usually eat one leaf. I usually eat one leaf before meals. So here's the thing. If you eat it before meals, you will have less. If you overeat, eat this one before you eat the meal. If you want to cut the craving of eating after you are eating, right? So nowadays I put my hand here and I say, am I hungry? No, I just ate. Why is it that I want to eat? Am I hungry? And then sometimes like the answer is no. So, okay, so I go for one of these ones.
So
So
what
I
is that
eat-
again? What is that? Pretty cute.
Yeah, radicchio. So radicchio is my to go. If I feel like, and I say, no, I'm not hungry, I'm gonna send a message. This is to send a message. Bitter is the flavor that they dislike the most. Bitter is the flavor that they dislike, and science is very clear. I have audios that I share with my clients and in my classes also, because in a session, when somebody's telling me, Lilly, but I have cravings, what can I do, right? So I say, okay, you might want to listen to this about bitterness. They're like, I don't like bitter. Exactly, you don't like it because they don't like it. So when I'm with myself and I ask the question, am I hungry? No, okay, it's you guys sending me a message to my brain. It's a peptide that they're pushing a button, and then I say, oh, I want a donut, right? You know, how come? And then instead of that, I eat this. And the other one is I put like crunchy vegetables like the cucumber or the pieces of carrot, right? Or orange peel. When I put orange peel and a tea, a miniature tea, and I eat this before a meal, guess what? I eat less. Both have bitterness. The orange peel has bitterness, and this has bitterness. So I'm cutting their message. I'm interrupting the gut-brain axis. It's called in science, the gut-brain axis is the message. I'm cutting the message with utilizing flavors. And the flavor that they dislike the most is bitter. There you go. So that's one thing. Here's my information. If anybody wants to text me, that's my phone number. If you want to text me with any questions, or you want to actually send me, or if you want to request a free consultation, you can text me or you can email me, and that's it. And you guys want the recipe?
Yeah.
Good.
And also, Lily's gonna be sending stuff out, so you guys aren't gonna miss out. We'll have you send it to us, and we'll make sure to
Yes,
email it
yes,
out
yes,
to you
yes,
guys.
yes, definitely. Yes, sir.
One of your slides said to eat without television, radio,
Yeah.
distractions.
Right.
What is the difference between when there's something in the background and when you're not?
Very good question. I actually went ahead and I looked at the research on this, because I know in Chinese medicine and Chinese nutritional therapy, they suggest that we are aware, that we take awareness over the food and smell the food or touch the food, look at the colors, because then we are sending the message. We have 5,000 neurons around the eyes that actually talk back to the brain and to the gut bacteria. So if I'm not aware, the bad guys are making me eat, are going to be making me eat more, because I'm not seeing what I'm eating, right? If I'm not paying attention, but I'm paying attention to the news, right? I'm stressing out my brain, and my sensory, my central nervous system, that is a sensor, is actually utilizing my immune system when I'm listening and I'm stressed out about the news or whatever happened. So it's better to have not the phone, because the phone has radiation also and interrupts the enzymes in food, but so not around as much close. But when we have the awareness that Japanese also do, they practice that, then we are actually sending the full message and preparing more enzymes for digestion. So I prepare more my digestion when I'm aware and look and smell than when I'm not. That's the answer. So thank you so much, guys.